Hi, everybody, and welcome to Title II Tuesday, brought to you by the Center for Inclusive Teaching and Learning here at UWSP. It's week 14 of CITL's bite-sized remediation guide for making your digital course content compliant with Title II of the Americans with Disabilities Act. We've covered how to scan your course with the You Do It accessibility checker in a previous video, how to filter for specific accessibility issues, and how to remediate them. This is our week to clean up the scraps. And by scraps, we mean the issues that you will probably never encounter, and the issues that you're sure to encounter, but for which resolution and accessibility compliance is not currently possible. So why are we covering them at all? Because it's fun? Maybe. But mostly so that y'all don't become frustrated if you do encounter these errors in the You Do It accessibility checker. This way, you'll know what to do about them. So let's jump in. First, let's deal with some issues involving HTML accessibility offenses. These include base font tag should not be used, blink tag should not be used, font tag should not be used, and marquee tag should not be used. The blink and marquee tags are relics of an older time, when the world and web authors were enamored with the ability to publish text for the world to read in a non-paper format. Those of you who are old enough to remember the early internet need only picture in your minds the garish look of some of those early web pages, with flashing text, moving text, scrolling text, and the like. These were all meant to make the web pages more exciting, though they weren't reader-friendly. For example, the blink tag was used to make text blink, and marquee was used to make text scroll across the screen. These were and are abominations, and of course are not accessible. The font and base font tags were present in older versions of HTML for indicating the default font for a web page. These have since been deprecated, and in more recent versions of HTML, your browser will just ignore them if they're present. What do you do if you encounter these errors? It's technically possible that these elements are still lurking in the background of our old content, dating back to our pre-D2L days, although because most of us revise our materials more often than once every 20 years, it's pretty unlikely. Even if these tags are present, your browser ignores them, so you won't have blinking, bouncing, or scrolling text. If you do get one of these errors, the first thing you should do is let CITL know. We've not been able to make You Do It trigger them, and we'd really like to see what they look like. Next, just follow the advice of You Do It on how to remediate them. Based on how it suggests other errors be remediated, we think that it will allow you to remove the offending tags in the You Fix It interface. Next, we have a slew of You Do It issues that cannot be fixed because they involve content that's external to Canvas. These issues revolve around the connection to content or availability of content. For You Do It to scan external content for accessibility issues, it requires a connection to accounts within those external systems, which neither UWSP nor the Universities of Wisconsin can provide. So any material you link to in an outside platform, such as Kaltura, Vimeo, or YouTube, will return a connection failed issue. In addition, You Do It may not be able to assess the accessibility of captions either because there are no captions or the captions are locked behind a password or other security measure. So you're highly likely to encounter the following issues: connection to the Kaltura service failed, connection to the Vimeo service failed, connection to the YouTube service failed, YouTube caption scanning unavailable, captions unavailable for private YouTube video, captions unavailable for unlisted YouTube video, closed captions cannot be checked, and external content may be inaccessible. What should you do if You Do It identifies these issues associated with external content? Well, that depends on who owns that content. If the content in question belongs to you, for example, if you hosted your videos during the pandemic on YouTube, the best option is to move the content to a place where you have better control and visibility of the content. For example, a Canvas page, document, or a video housed in Kaltura. Remember from our coverage of video content and captioning, if you're linking to a video that you've created, it should be moved to Kaltura. Once it's there, you should follow the tagging conventions outlined in our video on preparing videos for captioning. If you aren't the owner of the external content, it's more complicated. First, try to source the content from a different location. The library reserves can often find or source content from their collections of verified accessible content. Contact the reference librarians for help. If an accessible source is not available, there really isn't that much that you can do to make the offending external content accessible. You can't remediate something that doesn't belong to you. These issues cannot be fixed at present, but I would suggest that you don't mark them as manually resolved in YouFixit just to improve your accessibility score, because it's important not to lose track of these resources, since even though they may not be accessible, it may be possible to do more to remediate them in the future. So keep these issues active. Folks have frequently asked us if Title II applies to external content that they link to in their classes. Yes, it does. All digital materials you provide to your students in your course, including linked materials, should be accessible according to Title II. But we can't remediate what we don't own. So what are we going to do? For now, our counsel to you is that it's not the time to worry about the accessibility of third-party content that you link to. Our supposition is that many of the sites you're linking to are, like us, working through accessibility issues and fixing them on their sites. If they don't, and third-party materials remain inaccessible, you may eventually need to address the accessibility issue, finding potential alternative course materials that are compliant. But much as we advised for PDFs that are inaccessible and can't be replaced with more accessible versions, this is a can we'd like to kick down the road for just a little bit. Remember, working toward full digital accessibility is a process. As you work toward compliance with Title II, keep in mind that you might see some weird legacy issues because HTML has changed. You may also see issues related to external third-party content. If you can't find an accessible source for third-party content, keep track of it for remediation or rechecking in the future. And that's this week's Title II tip, brought to you by the Center for Inclusive Teaching and Learning here at UWSP. Remember, at CITL, we offer support for course design, learning activities, assessment, pedagogy, and accessibility. Visit our website to schedule a consultation today.